So, without further ado, I will shut up and hand you over to Aynsley, so Aynsley can share what difference Clarity HQ can make for your practice. So, as always, and I've got a noise cancelling thing on my microphone there, Aynsley, so you won't be able to hear the virtual round of applause, but you will be able to see it. But without further ado, I'll hand you over to Aynsley Damery. Go.
Thank you, Simon. Fantastic. That's a wonderful welcome this morning. So it's a good way to start the day. Great to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to people. I know as accountants, we are so incredibly busy at the moment. The world has turned upside down. And so to try and understand what's out there to be able to help you as a practice, cut through the noise, and actually get time to focus on your business is pretty tricky at the moment. So hopefully you'll get some really good value today. Please ask questions, as Simon said. I'm a very relaxed presenter, and this is more a demo and a show and tell, and to get in under the bonnet and into the nuts and bolts. So please do ask those questions, and someone will probably interrupt me as I'm going along. And feedback to me as well. So that's great. Now, I have some slides. I don't want to do death by PowerPoint. This is a practical demonstration, but I have some slides to give us a little bit more structure. And Simon fed me some questions that you had put forward prior to this, so that I make sure that I was going to cover those. So I wanted to hit some really key things first, so that you get a clear understanding of what we can do for your firm, particularly, and how we can help you create value for your clients too. So it's about helping the firm first and helping clients along the way. Now, I know Simon for a long time. We were members of AVN way back when. And you'll probably see that a lot of the things that we've embedded within Clarity have been distilled from our years of experience as accountants, our years of understanding small businesses and how to help them. And yes, the word advisory is quite a tricky word. What does advisory really mean? I mean, let's just call it business support services, giving small business owners what they need. So we'll be covering that. And for those of you who don't know me, just to give a little bit of background to me. So I had an accounting firm called Teabally Tomlin. I sold that 18 months ago to Crow. And we focused heavily on business advisory services for small businesses and high growth entrepreneurs. We won a huge number of awards for the way we did business, primarily on how we adopted technology, not for technology's sake, but how we leveraged the power of technology together with the right people and processes to be able to deliver better services to our clients and to deliver a better experience to our clients too. So this was about how we could help clients and how we could drive their growth and effectively as a partnership share in that win-win. So if you just bear with me whilst I share screen, obviously it's a little bit quick to switch over. So great to see you all. So I just wanted to cover some key points before we get into the demo. Now, the biggest challenges that we see from my experience in practice and also from what we're hearing from a lot of our members is effectively up on screen. So accountants seem to be working harder and longer for smaller returns. I was just on a webinar a few minutes ago before this to Australia. And in Australia, revenue per partner in the last 5 years has decreased by 41%. And that's quite huge. Now, we know pretty much in the UK, anecdotally, I don't have stats for you on that, but we know that that's pretty much where we're heading as well. So accountants are working harder and longer for smaller returns, and effectively accounting owners can sometimes end up being slaves to the firm, slaves to the team, and slaves to the clients. So we're not earning the revenues that we deserve. We are time starved, and that's even more to the fore at the moment. All the work that you're having to do to help clients overcome and combat the effects of COVID-19 are also having a massive impact on your firm and your time. And we're seeing that accounting firms are actually not spending the time that they need on their own firm. They're rushing to help their clients, and they are in a tsunami, complete overwhelm, intensity like never before is what I'm hearing from accountants. Now, obviously, I've been through previous crises through various accounting firms that I've been involved in the past, but nothing like what's going on at the moment. Now, everything that's happening at the moment, I think, is creating actually a perfect business advisory storm. Everything that clients are looking for from you now and are demanding help from you now is exactly what they've probably been looking for from you all along. Now, they clearly understand, I think, and it's a great time for accountants, that accountants are the front line for small business. So we are there to help. We are understanding what they need to do, and we're eminently capable of delivering what they need to do. We are also understanding ourselves that remote working and working from home does work. And I suppose the benefits of having cloud technology in play is massive for the firm. So we are seeing, I think, a perfect time for accountants if we just harness that and we're able to leverage that and engage the team to be able to get a fair reward for the work that we're doing. So traditionally, there has been a need for new revenue streams, and we'll talk about, I'm sure, during this, that it's not, compliance isn't dead. As accountants, we were told for the past 20 years that compliance is dead. Compliance is never going to be dead, but it's how we deliver compliance effectively and efficiently without over-engineering the process, but it's also how we combine compliance and advisory. So it's adding new revenue lines and new revenue mix, which is more profitable for the firm, more valuable for the clients, and actually has more fun involved with it too. So we understand the challenges and issues in scaling advisory in the past. And many accounting firms inherently deliver business advisory or business support services to their top 10, 20% of clients. It just happens because of the relationship, and that's what just inherently happens. What we need to be able to do is deliver advisory and support services to almost all of our clients, and how to do that cost effectively and efficiently in a manner that they're prepared to pay for, I think is going to be critical for us to understand going forwards. And of course, there are so many apps in the marketplace, and a lot of the questions were, why is Clarity different? So we're going to talk about why Clarity is in a class of its own. There are, it is in a category of one, and why that is, and how it can really help you going forward. But I understand that there are so many apps out there and technology overload. And it's really critical that we understand that technology is only going to work if we combine it with the right people and the right processes. Technology in itself is not going to solve the problems. So hopefully today you'll get that. Now, the major challenges as an accountant in practice that we saw with small business owners and that we're continuing to see today are basically up on the screen here. Effectively, the world is complex. It's getting more so, particularly over the last 5 years, and even more so in the last 3 to 4 months. In fact, many people are saying it's a VUCA world, and VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So the world is complex, it's getting more so. Clients don't need more data thrown at them. They don't need more reports fired at them. What they need is insights, tangible strategies, high impact actions that they can undertake. So they want us to break the data down for them and feed back to them the information that they need from that. So this is about not throwing more reports and more data at them. This is about distilling and using our insights and knowledge of numbers to be able to give them high impact actionable strategies. Now, cash obviously has always been critical for small businesses. Cash is king, as we've always heard. And how many times have you heard from a client when you've given them a set of accounts and they say, oh, I kind of made all that profit, Aynsley, where's all the cash gone? Now, small business owners don't understand cash. They don't understand the movement of cash in their business generally, and they don't understand the difference between profit and cash. And this isn't about just short-term cash flow planning. Whilst important, it isn't just about short-term cash flow planning. It's about understanding the financial model that they have, understanding how that creates operating cash, and making sure the business model is scalable and sustainable to grow profitably and to create cash, not grow broke. And again, as accountants, we inherently have the skill set to be able to help small business owners here. It's also about helping them get access to the right cash at the right price at the right time. And again, from a funding perspective, we just inherently get those numbers. And I think the issue and challenge oftentimes with accountants is that we're so used to dealing with the numbers, and we find the numbers so easy to understand and interpret. We expect small business owners to do the same. The reality is they've got other issues and challenges and focuses in their business, and they don't understand the language of business, which is accounting. So we need to help them, and we really need to drill down and not just take their nodding when they see us walking through a set of accounts as understanding. We need to clarify and really help them understand that. And talking about numbers, most small business owners don't get proper management reporting. In fact, only about 20% of UK businesses get proper monthly management reporting. Now, with cloud technology, that's really quite shocking, isn't it? We can help our clients as long as they understand the value of us doing proper management accounts. So this isn't just pressing a button from Xero or QuickBooks or Sage. This is about us actually preparing proper management accounts based on income recognition, accruals, prepayments, Once a client understands the value of proper information to create better business decisions, then that's critical. And also helping them understand those numbers too. But I think the biggest challenge in business is this lack of planning. And we know that every successful business in the world has a plan. Nothing in the world actually gets created without a plan. If you think about it, everything that is designed and created needs a plan. Now, whether that's a simple painting or whether we get into more complex structures, and if you think about a house, you think about an engine or a business, we need a plan to be able to work towards. Now, it doesn't mean that the plan won't change. It doesn't mean that if we're building a house, we won't add extra rooms, paint the rooms differently, add windows, add a conservatory. It just means that we have an idea of where we're heading to drive focus, to drive accountability, and also to measure and monitor where we're going, whether we're going ahead or behind, whether we need to double down on what we're doing, whether we need to pivot. Budget versus actual is critical. So we know planning works. Oftentimes in our own business, we don't do planning either. And hopefully today you'll understand that it's fit your own oxygen mask first. Make sure you look after your own firm before you look after anybody else. Because if you're not around to survive, you're not going to be able to help your clients thrive. So again, the biggest challenges faced by small business. And in a study shown by Accounting Today in the US, and in fact, 2020 did a very similar survey in the UK last year, and the only difference was number 3 and number 4 swapped around from the UK to the US. Effectively, clients are looking for us to be a trusted advisor, that nebulous term. I take that to be intelligent friend. Small business owners are lonely. They don't really have many people to talk to. Most of their friends are employed, and those that aren't, they can't share issues and challenges in their business because it potentially makes them look weak or like failures. They have nobody really to talk to. And so to have a trusted space where they can share their issues and challenges in an environment where people listen to them and understand them is huge. And I think as accountants, we don't really understand the value of just being there to listen to our clients. Responding quickly to their queries, obviously, understanding their business or industry goes without saying. Being affordable and communicating clearly with them as non-accountants are the top 5 things that small business owners are looking for from accountants. Now, clearly, accounts and tax returns isn't up there. We probably didn't expect to see it up there. But can you imagine, and we're looking at high numbers here, 78% down to 69%. So effectively, all of your clients want all of these 5 things. And for you to be able to deliver all of these 5 things to all of your clients is not going to mean putting more people into the mix here. This is about understanding the team that we have, understanding what technology can play a part and what we can do to leverage technology, and putting in place the right processes to be able to help us deliver this smoothly. Because if we put more people here, we're going to affect the revenue mix and affect the cost equation and effectively not be affordable. So this is how we can deliver these 5 things to all of our clients cost effectively and efficiently at a price that they're willing to pay. And so that's hopefully what we're going to help you solve and show you how to solve that today. So compliance isn't dead, as we've mentioned. It's about how we combine compliance and advisory. And when I say for most of us, there will be some people who are in a niche industry or who work with certain types of organizations or are at scale that they're able to generate significant revenue from compliance. But for most of us, we're not able to get the profits we deserve from compliance. Now, if you think about this, the old model that we're always thinking about is a third, a third, a third. So 33% on salaries, 33% for overheads, and 33% for the partners to share as profits. So we're expecting to see margins around 67%, gross margins at 67%, and our net margins around 33%. Now, in reality, we are not seeing margins of 67%. We're seeing margins of between 40 and 50%. Now, accountants are good at controlling the costs, so perhaps they can keep their profitability up to the kind of 20% level. And that's kind of roughly the benchmark we're seeing, but that does actually impact their ability to generate profitable revenue. So we do see different models out there, and we see bigger firms with 80% margins. So when we compare the 40% to the 80%, that's quite a big difference. But generally in the firms that are out there achieving big success, we're seeing potentially profit margins, and we're talking net profit margins around 45%. So it's really, really critical for us as an organization to understand our own numbers. Now, I've put a URL up there We're going to drop it in the chat box for you as well. So don't worry if you don't want to scroll it down now. But this is a simple way for you to go and check your own numbers. What are your own margins? What's your gross margin? What's your net margin? What should they be? If we think a third was the traditional historic benchmark, and we know that other firms are doing much better than that, what are our numbers and how could we improve our numbers? So this is a very simple way for you to do some very quick, I suppose, back of a fag packet calculations for your firm, but shows you how it's not just about compliance. It's about how we can combine high value work that clients are prepared to pay for and that we can generate profit from, much more profit you'll see too, and how that affects our overall profit mix and our revenue mix, and how it can make a massive difference to us as a firm and our ability to survive and our ability to invest in the future for our firm, in team, in better technology, in better processes. So please do go on that calculator and have a play with your own numbers. Now, before we dive into the platform, what is business advisory? So at Clarity, we've broken advisory down into 5 distinct levels. What most people think when they think business advisory is, I'm not a management consultant, I'm not a guru, I can't talk to clients about business. What if they ask me questions that I don't know the answers to? And if you're as a partner saying, well, that doesn't apply to me because I'm pretty good at business advisory, well, just think about the team below you. They will lack the confidence potentially to be able to speak to small business owners because they're afraid they're going to be asked a question that they won't know the answer to. Well, if we break advisory down into these levels, you'll see that it's not just about consulting, and even many firms may not choose to do that level of business advisory. In fact, our accounting firm went too far into the business advisory journey. We went too far down the consulting route, and effectively it was a difficult model to service because we needed high caliber team, we needed a lot of team, and our revenue, our profit mix was affected by that. And also we probably created expectations that were difficult for the team to constantly live up to. The difference between big consulting firms and big organizations is you've got teams dealing with teams, and it's in their interests to both help each other out in real terms. When, as a small business accountant, you're dealing with the owner on a daily basis, you're on the hiring and firing line consistently and continually. So your team are under constant pressure to deliver if you've created high expectations. And so you're always trying to over deliver, and that just puts more and more pressure on the team and on the firm. So we potentially went down too far into the business advisory route. So for some firms, consulting and in that area is probably maybe not where they want to be. But there are wonderful layers underneath which are providing valuable support to your clients that they're willing to pay for. Now, you'll probably be doing some of these inherently. You may be doing it for some of your clients or a big chunk of your clients, but how can we help you do this for all of your clients? And how can we get all of the team involved in delivering it for all of your clients? So the first phase is awareness, knowing your clients where they are now, where they want to get to, and what the gap is. So very simple strategic planning. The next level up is holding your clients accountable. Now, studies show in the US that small business owners that have written goals that are held accountable achieve 78% more. Now, I know that from my own accounting firm. We've had clients that have doubled their profits, not by any significant massive changes in the organization, but just having a focus, a drive, accountability, and just being held to account. And effectively, that has driven results. So we know this works. We know this is true. It's not just about stats and surveys out there. And the next level up is insights. So showing them what's possible, giving them an insight as to why others are achieving success and how as an organization they can harness and what numbers they need to change and how they can change them. And then it's stepping up again into modeling, financial planning, dashboards, KPIs, you name it. Now, at each of these levels, you can do something really basic or you can do something really deep. So for example, at the planning phase, we can do a simple last year plus 5% using software, for example, such as Futurely, or we can go into a complex planning and detailed financial model. Now that depends clearly on the client, on their needs and on their ability and their ability to afford to pay for the services that you can deliver. And sometimes good enough is good enough. As accountants, often we go for perfection, and perfection is expensive and sometimes hard to achieve. So sometimes, whilst we might think, oh, that's probably, we'd like to do a really great Excel spreadsheet model of this business, the client will pay for that, so we don't do it. Well, in fact, if we can do a quick and dirty last year plus 5%, whilst I never agree with that as an ideal way of planning, because it always assumes that what in the past was good and we're going to just expand that. It doesn't look at the possibilities and the options and what the potential in the business is. But even a basic last year plus 5% and holding clients accountable, budget versus actual, is a massive thing that we can do for small business owners. So again, each area we can go deep or we can go light, and that's really, I suppose, dependent on the firm, its size, and its ability to pay for us. Now, at Clarity, and I know some people were asking, how do you price advisory and how do you package Clarity? Clarity isn't about reselling. As an accountant, I was often told, oh, you just bundle the software in with the subscription service that you're charging and just bill it onto the client and send them out reports and they'll love it. Well, we know business owners don't look at the accounts as it is. They don't look at their own management accounts. So sending them out reports isn't going to be helpful to them. What they need is conversations. Now, whether that's over Zoom, whether that's face-to-face, or whether that's on the phone is a different matter, but they need us to walk through their numbers and they need us to have conversations with them. Now, at Clarity, we've broken the 5 levels of advisory down and we've effectively packaged and productized each of those levels of advisory. Now, people understand products more than services. So that's why it's really important to productize a lot of your services so that people can visualize what it is and can understand it better. Now, at Clarity, we've given you examples of the types of services you can deliver at each of these 5 levels, how you can maximize and leverage technology at each of these levels, because again, this is about delivering it to 100% of clients. There will always be the top 10, 20% that will need bespoke planning, bespoke Excel financial models, will need high-level partner involvement, but there will be a huge tranche of your clients that will need help. And to do that efficiently and effectively at a price they're able to pay, we need to leverage technology. So here we've got frontline team. So these prices are built on frontline team delivering, using and leveraging technology to its fullest with the right systems and processes. And here again, you'll see that Clarity, we've developed systems and processes for you at each level. Now, this isn't about giving you a vault because we know what vaults are like. This is about high impact strategies that will actually enable you to deliver and be able to help business owners with valuable value that they can actually make the maximum out of. And Simon's kicked in. And this is probably the key areas that's very easy for our members to sell this level of package. Hi, Simon.
So hello, Aynsley. As you can imagine, the first question that's come through is about time. So we've just had a conversation about delivering value, and the first question that's come through from a gang of accountants is time. So can you give us an idea on the insights one, for example, on the $257 a month? Can you just give us an idea of the time commitment? And in your opinion, who's delivering that? Is it the person that's doing the accounts prep? Is it a more senior person, or is it the partner, the director, the client relationship manager? What's involved in delivering that insight?
Insights is approximately 16 hours per annum for the client. So if you break it down, it's going through their numbers twice a year. It's giving them support up to an hour each month. It's going through an accountability call with a set pro forma agenda with set systems and processes to how to do that, and having a more lengthy meeting every 2 months to go through their numbers properly. And again, that's all systems and process. So that's 16 hours. Now, some people will say, our team are too busy as it is, Aynsley. They just can't get to this. And what we're saying is, if this is 16 hours and you've got 100 clients, so if you think of a 100 client pool, 16 hours, that's one person can handle 100 clients doing insights alone. That's at 80% effectiveness and chargeability. So this is one person. And if you pay them 60K, I guarantee you that's a 200 to 240K profit from 100 clients. So if you go on the calculator, you can play with all these numbers and it'll give you a bit more context around what we're doing here. But again, it'll give you the ability to play and see what's possible in the business. So it might be that you need to get external resources to help you if your existing team are dwarfed. But I would imagine this is somebody preparing the accounts. So it's at that level.
So it's definitely not high level. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. It can be somebody at a lower level. And at 18 hours, so if I said 18 hours instead of 16, I can then do 1.5 hour a month, which at 257 gives me a traditional charge out rate. And I hate doing this, as you know, but about 160, 170 pound an hour.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see that the next one up is probably only an extra 4 to 6 hours of work per annum. But we put that on a value price because we know that next level up gives massive value to the small business owners. Again,
Excellent.
leveraging technology to its fullest.
Okay, and I know you're going to come on to this, but so at that level, do you think that needs a more, what should I say, a more experienced person, a more of a director, partner level, or can that also be done by a frontline person?
Also be done by that can be done by a frontline person as well. So absolutely, that's a frontline team member delivering that using technology. Now, this is about the right people and the right process and the right technology. This is not about just chucking it at somebody. This is proper training. This isn't about, so I'm not saying you can do this at a flick of a switch. This does need a little bit of help. It needs partner sponsorship, because I hate this team champion, and then you abrogate responsibility to a team champion and it never happens. This is about partner ownership and partner sponsorship, maybe getting a team lead to help with the nitty gritty, but this is about implementing this properly. This isn't about just wanging some software in and chucking it and seeing it hope it generates some revenue. This is proper help, and we give that help too, by the way, obviously.
Excellent. Thank you, and I'll let you carry on.
Fantastic, thank you. So please check out your own numbers. You can see that you can play with them. You don't have to give us any details, so we will not know. So you can, in confidentiality, play with your numbers and see what's possible in your business by combining business support services with advisory, with compliance. And again, you'll see the basic ideas that we're thinking about. So if you're not sure what you could charge, then use our numbers because they work. We've got people who are working well with them, and we know from practice and experience that those numbers work as well. So just a little bit of background about Clarity. It focuses on the advisory framework. Now, this is a very similar framework to the one that we used to use in practice. And effectively, when we used to talk to prospects and our clients about the advisory framework, I had no small business owner that said to me, Aynsley, this isn't what we want from you. This doesn't make sense. This is stupid. Everybody went, this is exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly what we need. And effectively, it's following the life cycle of a business, understanding where they are now, understanding where they want to get to, putting in place reporting and helping them support that growth, then holding them accountable. And whether that's CFO services, whether it's FD services, whether it's monthly check-ins, whatever that is, holding them accountable, helping them then grow and scale sustainably, because it's better business before bigger. So we don't grow a business broke. We make sure the business is scalable and sustainable before we grow it. And then it's about helping them maximize and exit and maximize their value for exit. Now, again, I wanted to say under the bonnet of Clarity, it isn't just a piece of software. We are leveraging technology. There are lots of high impact strategies and tools to help you at each of these levels. Now, this isn't about vaults. We know vaults don't work because vaults are difficult to navigate and difficult for firms to understand, implement, bring back to their own firm. I know this from experience. This is basically distilling our years of practice, our knowledge, our involvement in networks. I came from a KPMG background, so I always had systems given to me. So when I went out into practice on our own, I always sought systems that I could bring back into the firm and make TT them effectively. And this is, I suppose, and Steve did the same, my fellow founder did the same at his accounting firm. So we've effectively taken, I suppose, our firms and put them in a bottle. We've taken things that worked, the things that made high impact, the things that really made money for us and actually helped and delivered massive value at the same time. This is about a partnership with your clients. It's got to be win-win. And, for example, strategic SWOT analysis, we've got a very cool tool to be able to help there. Obviously focusing on their key metrics in their business, sensitivity analysis, benchmarking, proper bookkeeping procedures, reporting budget versus actual, working from home problems here with clocks ringing in the background, but just go with me rather than I'll put myself on mute. It's about pro forma agendas, systems, execution, who, what, when, continuous improvement. I won't go through this. You'll have plenty of time to talk to us about the various, I suppose, nuts and bolts. But what I wanted to say is there's a lot under the bonnet of Clarity to help you achieve success. And these are all tried and tested tools and techniques to actually help the client and help the firm deliver as well. So rather than just focus on the nitty gritty, let me dive in and show you the software in real time. Hi, Simon.
Excellent. And just while you do that, I've got a comment from Tony about Fruitrilli. And he's had some difficulty using that on the previous slide where you'd got the examples of the services. Ainsley, Fruitrilli, however you say it. was included within that. Just explain to me how that works. Is that just an example? Do you have to have Frutili as well as Clarity for it to work together? Or is that, how does it work?
That's an example. I think we, like the guys from Futurely, their product is quite in-depth, and it's really sometimes tricky to navigate. We've done that heavy lifting for our member firms. So as a practice, we used to use Futurely, so it was an inherent, I suppose the partnership with them was the natural one rather than some of the other providers. So you don't have to use Futurely. But what we're saying is most business owners will need a plan, and the quickest way to generate a three-way projection, and let's say a three-way projection is critical here. This isn't about just doing one-sided entries. We know double entry works, and we know it works for a reason. So this is why three-way projections are critical. And the quickest way that we know to do a three-way projection is using Futurely Advisor, and there's a fantastic way to do that. It might be that the reporting isn't right for you, or the dashboarding isn't right for you, or it might not be right for those clients, but I know certainly the ability to create a quick three-way projection is very fast and Futurely, and we've processed that for your team because we know from accountants how to use it in practice. So we've actually done that. So if you're confused about Futurely, and I know lots of people are, then come and talk to us. We can help you.
Brilliant. So it's not a necessity. So it's not a necessity basically, but if anybody wants to use it, then you can help them use it as part of Clarity. But if it's basically about a three-way projection, and if your preferred method is Excel, for argument's sake, stick with Excel, and it still works.
Absolutely. Or if you use Spotlight, or if you use something else, I won't go into all the list. There's lots of them. Yeah, so it's not about just Futurely, but we have a close relationship with Futurely, and we know the guys there well, and we know their product, and we know how to make it work for accountants effectively and efficiently.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony, for the question.
Fantastic. Thank you. And keep those questions coming. I'm expecting some tricky questions, and I'm happy to deal with some tricky questions. I need to, sorry, whilst I have a tech swap here, so bear with me. I should know technology, shouldn't I? So this is where you can go, clarity-hq.com. You can see the calculator is down here, and there's a really fantastic scorecard that I'm going to get to in a little bit that will help you with some strategic planning, give you some ideas and input into the business too. But let's get stuck in, and so you can see what's working real time. So as I said, this software is supported by the processes that we've got going in the background. This isn't just about technology, and we understand that technology is difficult to just implement on its own. You do need help and support at actually maximizing it and making it work for you. Now, what we're seeing here is the entry screen into Clarity, which is portfolio view. Now, I have dummy data in here, so you just have to bear with me. This data does pull in live, but we also know as accountants that live data isn't great. So, you know, we'd love to have live data working, but obviously people aren't doing daily bookkeeping. So this gives us also the ability to flick back to maybe the last month end, or maybe a couple of months ago, where we know most of the firms will be up to date. Now, Clarity in this overview screen shows you your entire client base, and it shows you a snapshot of all your clients in one screen. Effectively, it'll show you if the client is linked with Xero. It'll also show you if the client is linked with QuickBooks, or if you've entered the data manually. So if they're not a QuickBooks or Xero client, you can enter the data manually. It's 17 numbers for 2 accounting periods, gives you a huge amount of information on that client. So again, not a difficult process or a time-consuming process, but obviously if we've got a connection to Xero or QuickBooks, we're able to pull a lot more data and be able to have a lot more visibility to talk to with our clients. Now, as you can see here, we've got a screen that shows some important metrics, and these are 7 metrics that affect almost every single business in your client base. So we're looking at things like revenue, and I'll go into the nitty-gritty of what those numbers are when I drive and drill down into one client. But it gives you the ability to see on one screen. You can also add firm tags. Now, we're suggesting that you use this for the grade of your client, so that'll help you segment, and portfolio view enables you to help segment your client base. You can also maybe document the service level that that client is currently getting, and maybe if you've got departments or managers or whatever, you might want to be able to do that too. So effectively, you can apply 3 tags specific to the firm, in addition to the filters that we've already got in the system. So where it's located, the sector, year ends, data input, etc. So we can do a lot of slicing and dicing of this data to be able to help with segmentation and also benchmarking within your client base. So you'll be able to simply benchmark your clients. Now here you can see the metrics for all your clients, and you can also see if you've created an action plan with them, where they are on completing their tasks. So this is helping at a high level, understand accountability and where clients are falling behind and which clients you might need to get to quickly. Now, at a quick snapshot, we can also see what simple changes to the major levers in their business, what that would do to those numbers. So for example, let's move it by 4%. You can see with my slider, I'm having a little bit of trouble. So let me just put in 5%. And effectively, we can see what changes that does to their 7 key numbers. We can also show their current numbers if we want to, and toggle that on and off. Obviously, depending on your screen size, I'm working on a small laptop at the moment, so you can see my screen is a bit shrunk. Obviously, if you've got a big monitor, you've got bigger screen size. Now, effectively, what this enables us to do is to see the potential within our clients. So we can quickly see which clients have a big profit and cash improvement potential, and which clients maybe we should be speaking to first, and also who in the team should be speaking to those clients, because the bigger the number, probably the more important the conversation, and the more important and higher level the team member that needs to have that conversation. Now, obviously, you can see all of this data can be sorted high to low, low to high, and reset it back to the original. So effectively, we can really quickly sift through data in the firm very, very fast. And this is leveraging technology to do some of the heavy lifting about who's our ideal client, who should we be speaking to first, what are the quick wins, how can we help those clients really, really fast. So this gives you a snapshot in one screen. Now, I'm going to drill into one of the companies. Rather than clicking on one of those companies directly from portfolio view, I'm actually going to go into the advisor office. Now, I have better data in here, so I'm cheekily going in here. The reason the advisor office doesn't appear on portfolio view is because that's your firm's own data. So clearly you may not want to share that with your entire team. Now, our most successful firms that use Clarity for their own firm too. So they use Clarity to measure their own metrics, their GP margins, their revenue per employee, their cash days, et cetera, et cetera. So they have their own data in here because they're driving their own firm's performance using Clarity too. So I'm just going to click into the advisor office, the firm that wouldn't have appeared in portfolio view. And again, I've got dummy data, so just bear with me. But this shows you clearly that you're able to flick between accounting periods if you've got that API with QuickBooks or Xero. If you've entered the data manually, obviously you can only select the periods that you've entered the data for. It goes without saying. So effectively what we see here is a snapshot of the business as it is at that particular moment in time. And it gives us 7 key numbers that affect pretty much, as I said, almost every single business out there. Now, it's important that we start a conversation with a small business owner and a numbers-led conversation. And the reason that is that small businesses come to accountants to talk to them about their numbers. When we start having conversations straight off with a small business about vision and values and mission and strategy and planning, it does freak them out. We need to start with a numbers-led conversation because that's what they're expecting. And so we don't want to create upset from the get-go. Right? Accountants generally aren't great at sales or upserving. This is a foolproof methodology, if you follow it, that actually walks your team through into delivering higher value services to their clients if they just follow the process. Now, the 7 key numbers, there's lots of training that we do for the team, what these numbers are, how they relate to one another, the discussion points that flow, how they connect, and all that jazz. So you don't have to train your team on this. And the reason we stuck to 7, because obviously we're pulling a lot of data here, is that we wanted the clients to get used to simple numbers. And again, this is about making business simple, not about complicating it. So strip it back to simplicity. They will learn to understand these 7 key numbers and understand how these are main drivers of growth of their business. And also the team get to use the same 7 key numbers. So it aids the communication between team and client. It aids training, understanding, and speed of getting the message across. Now, there's maybe some numbers here that you're not used to seeing. Revenue per employee is a critical metric for 3 things. It measures obviously the staffing levels. It measures the efficiency of the team, but it also looks at the efficiencies of the systems and processes and the way an organization leverages intellectual property effectively and efficiently. So there's 4 major discussion points that just flow from one number. And you'll see that these numbers are chosen for a reason. They give a view of P&L, balance sheet, cash, and efficiency ratios. So a complete overview of the business. And there are a number of discussion points that flow, for example, from cash days. So this is about inventory, stock, work in progress, debtor control, creditors, payments, etc. So this gives us a huge number of conversation points just around one key number. And this might be different for many firms as well as the core cash target. So this is our idea of a resilient balance sheet, a cash balance that we should be aiming for, which will create a strong business that is able to grow from its own reserves. And anything above the core cash target, they're able to invest in R&D or for distribution to business owners. Now, we know most business owners strip their balance sheet. So this is about giving them some a goal to hit for. And it also quickly identifies for us if there's a potential funding gap in the business. Now, Clarity is a strategic planning tool and a growth tool, but you'll also see that in times like COVID, it's very important as well to show what happens with negative changes in the business and how that's going to impact profits and cash. And we can do that really fast visually and from a clear understanding perspective for the client as well. So this is about growth, but we can also use it in tough times. And for example, had most of our clients had that core cash target on their balance sheet, then they would have been in a much stronger position from a COVID perspective. So we know this works. It's just about encouraging our clients to store more of their cash on their balance sheet to protect it for a rainy day. But it also is about how we can identify that funding gap early and help them with getting access to the right cash at the right price. Hi, Simon.
Hello, I just got two questions. The first one from Peter. Can I see as the accountant how that core cash target is calculated?
We give you the understanding of how it's calculated. In a future release, you'll be able to flick the tile around and it will show you the numbers, the source data, so that you can quickly explain to the client. We've had many accountants try to bust our formulae. They do work, they are robust. So it's either the mapping might be wrong or the underlying data might be wrong. But we do talk you through how the calculation is made. And it's then, unfortunately at the moment, you will have to flip to the underlying data, but we will in a future release have that shown for you so you can quickly see.
Yeah, I think if it's just from Peter's, but I think it's a sensibility check rather than an audit of that number.
Sure. And then so the number is calculated, by the way, just 2 months overheads plus taxes set aside. So that's what we're doing. 2 months overheads plus their taxes set aside.
Excellent. Thank you. And then Adam's asked, when it comes to the business return metric, the guidance talks about an assumed valuation. How is this calculated and explained to clients?
So we know that the traditional metrics for business return don't work. So return on capital employed for small business are irrelevant because they strip their balance sheet. So effectively what we're looking to do is look at what their operating profit would be after a 2 deduction of salaries for the owner managers in the business, multiplying it by a standard methodology, which is 2.5 to 3 times. I think 2.5 is the one we use in the software. So that it gives an idea of a very basic standard valuation for the business. And from there, then we're looking to compare what they're actually taking from the business to calculate the business return. So it's an adaptation on return on capital employed for small businesses.
Excellent. Thank you.
There are 2 calculation methodologies for this. So one is an annualized basis. So if you select any period of less than 12 months, when you're looking at the data selection up here, what we're doing is taking the current period, extrapolating it out to 12 months and comparing it to the previous 12-month period. Now, obviously that works for many businesses, but it will be affected by, for example, if you've got revenue recognitions, if you had a big long-term contract in the first 3 months, et cetera, et cetera. So what we also allow you to do is do a rolling 12 months calculation. So you can always compare the current rolling 12 months to the previous rolling 12 months to the preceding rolling 12 months. So effectively, oftentimes in management accounts and in industry, they always look at rolling 12 months. And that's because they eliminate seasonality. And if it's a high growth business, it also eliminates those issues of comparison. So it gives us true rolling 12 months versus 12 months. So you have the ability to flick between both calculation methodologies relevant to the size of the client. And clearly, where we have the data, we show the comparatives. If we don't have the data, we won't be able to show the comparatives. So these are real actual uplifts and downlifts. So this is 8 days better than the last period. This is 17,000 better in revenue per employee. This is 1 percentage point better in gross profit percentage. And this is a 16% decrease in revenue growth. So it would have been on 21, it's now down to 5. So those are real round numbers rather than percentage changes of percents, if that makes sense.
It does. Perfect. Thank you.
Good. So we can see a quick snapshot of the business as it is now. We can then flick to the future screen. So now in advance, you might, as we saw in Portfolio View, have looked at what does 5% do to the profit and cash improvement percentage of the business. Now, this isn't what you do with a client. This is just an advance so that we understand the type of profit improvement. We understand maybe the type of conversation that we need to have. We understand maybe the type of person that needs to have that conversation, and maybe the types of services that we need to be offering off the back of it. As we've seen with Clarity, we've given you an advisory subscription pricing methodology. There will also be one-off advisory bits and pieces that will inevitably flow from this conversation. So we need to be thinking about what package we need to be putting together to support our client with a 45,000 revenue growth here. And as a rule of thumb, not guaranteed, but we might be looking at 10% here, because for a business owner, you know, a 10% cost, the ROI for them is massive, and they can see that, and that's a business decision. Yeah, if I'm going to get 100K profits, I'm prepared to invest 10K to do that. Of course I'm going to do that. So this helps with giving you a quantifiable value proposition for your client, and helping you with the pricing conversation, and helping you understand the value that you're actually creating and delivering to your client, and getting them to visually see this. And you'll see that Clarity works on mobile, so it works on an iPad, phone, desktop, laptop. And if we use it with the clients on an iPad and get them control over the levers, they get a little bit more ownership and involvement in actually the improvements in their business. Now, this is also really helpful for prospects. So can you imagine we could have a really different prospect meeting with a prospective client if we have access to their data, to be able to, at that meeting, say, our clients grow on average by 5.7% per annum. And if you become a client of ours and that happens to you too, this is the bottom line improvement to your profit and cash position. What a different conversation that would be, and what a different way for you then to be able to position the firm's services and the costs of those. So can you imagine saying to a client, well, if we can help you get 45K and we're charging you £4,500 for our services, that's a no-brainer decision. Absolutely, it is. It's also a very different conversation to many other accountants when they're seeing their prospects for the first time, when they're talking about remuneration planning, maybe dividend versus a salary, looking at pension planning, capital allowances, structure, and giving away all their IP in the first meeting. This is a really great way to be able to say, this is visually what we can do for you and what it means to become a client of this firm. But what we would use this with a client is, it is effectively a simple what if conversation. This isn't about the how at this stage. This is purely about, is it possible? And the conversation probably goes along the lines, anybody can do 1% more. 1% is easy peasy. You're currently on a growth rate of 5%. So what does 6% look like? Now, from the previous screen, we saw that the client actually decreased their profitability, so their revenue growth by 21 percentage points. So what does 22 look like? And the client might say, oh, well, Aynsley, sorry, that was a one-off project. That's no way that's going to recur. But yeah, I agree with you. We can definitely do 10%. Now, sometimes clients will say to you, yeah, you don't understand my industry. We couldn't possibly grow by 10%. Now, with the data that you have in Portfolio View, whilst without giving away any confidential information, you can clearly say to them, well, we know X number of clients in this area, in this sector, that have grown by 15%. So what are they doing different from you? This also helps this conversation where clients are saying, I don't want to grow. And when they say that to you, generally they're saying to you, I'm struggling. I have challenges. I hate my business potentially. I'm struggling with the VAT bill. The team are hard. The clients are hard. Everything's a nightmare. I don't want more of that. Well, if we can show them by making simple, small changes and the power of marginal gains and how little bits together add up to a big difference, then this is a great way to show them that maybe not necessarily through growth, they can actually improve their profitability. Now, clearly, if it's a business that is looking for how do I grow and how do I grow profitably, then we can show them the key 5 levers in their business and what changes to those numbers are going to do to their bottom line. So this is a simple conversation at this moment in time about what's possible in the business. Now, again, with gross profit, I'm just going to nudge this here. I can't obviously go by above 100%. What I might be doing in this conversation is saying to the client, ooh, maybe we're not taking true account of the costs of goods sold or the cost of services provided. So potentially we might need to give your team some bookkeeping training, or maybe we need to take the bookkeeping in-house, or maybe you need us to pay us more than just processing your VAT return. Maybe you need to do proper bookkeeping that can break down your GP line by product and service line, because that's a fantastic way to understand the activities that are generating the results. making sure that our clients are focusing on the right areas to generate the right contribution to overhead. So breaking GP down is a great way to do that. And effectively, this gives us an ability to show them why that's important if they're not doing it. Clearly, if we do have a proper GP conversation here, we can talk about percentage changes in the gross profit. Operating profit is effectively, in Clarity, is the output of overheads in a roundabout way. So what we're doing here with this number is probably nudging it by 3 to 5%. I'm talking about getting rid of wasteful overheads. So it's not cost cutting for cost cutting's sake. It's getting rid of costs that are not generating revenue, those costs that have just built up over a period of time that we just need to get rid of. Or if it's in times of COVID, as I said, we can see how we need to reduce costs to balance the equation in the business, so to make sure that we continue to make profits. Revenue per employee, again, this is an interesting number for accounting firms too, right? So numbers show that the most successful accounting firms in the UK particularly have a revenue per employee of between 125k and 150k. So that's a standard good accounting firm generates that revenue per employee. Now, if we look at it from businesses, sometimes it's difficult to know the absolute correct number. We know that hospitality sector obviously will have a lower revenue per employee. And for example, on the other scale, tech firms will have a very high revenue per employee. So we need to understand the context of how we're having this discussion. So it's maybe not necessarily knowing the exact number for the client, but it's talking about improving this. And this is not just about staffing levels. This is also, and not just about staff efficiency. This is also the efficiency and effectiveness of the systems and processes of the organization, plus also how well we leverage IP. So that's brand assets, intellectual property, you know, the whole shebang. This isn't just about fixed assets. So again, here we could maybe have a round, saying, oh, well, what happens if we move it by 10, my screen has frozen with my sharing screen on Zoom. So sorry, my problem with Zoom sometimes. So we can look at here effectively what happens in this conversation. The revenue growth of 10% can be taken by the existing team, for example. So let's see if we can, what will happen if we just maintain that efficiency and not have to employ anybody else? What will that mean to our bottom line? We can, of course, talk about percentage changes to the team here in this conversation and percentage changes to efficiency too. It's just sometimes it might be easier to go to a round sum number. Again, the same with cash days. We might, rather than talk about percentage changes to cash days, we might talk about real term difference to cash days and stripping, say, 5 days or whatever it is off our cash days, that being a 39% improvement. Now, the other two levers are purely, not levers, they're purely results functions of the numbers that we've moved above for obvious reasons. But we can see that if the future plans are going to create an additional funding gap or not as well. So really helpful for that conversation. And clearly we're seeing this as a far more profitable business now, generating a much higher business return. So again, that's an obvious output of what we've just put into this equation. So we can very quickly and simply show a client what difference makes to their bottom line, what simple small changes that they believe are possible in their business can do to help drive profitability and drive the cash position. Now, clearly, this is where we can say to the client, what would that mean to you? What would you use that money for? If that's the way that you're able and you feel confident in having those types of maybe softer conversations about what that means, what would they do with the money? What would that mean to their life, their business, etc. Or we can just highlight the profitability and say, this is what it means to you. This is why this is important. And this is why we work together to help you achieve this. Yeah, well, that's great, Aynsley, but how the hell am I going to do that? So what we've built in Clarity is a collaborative action plan for you to help your client work through. Now, we've built this action plan to effectively generate an output, which is a who, what, when action plan. So this is really critical to drive execution, drive implementation, drive activity, drive results. So who is going to do what task by what deadline? It also gives us the ability to hold our clients accountable going forward. It possibly would be that when you go through this action plan with your client, the client will go, that's great, thank you, Aynsley. I'll go off and do all of it myself. Don't be disappointed if that happens, because all you need to do is ring them and say, that's great, John, Mary. What I'll do is I'll give you a ring in 3 months and just find out how you're getting on, because you know what's going to happen in 3 months when you pick up that phone. You're going to get the response, Aynsley, you didn't realize how busy I am. You don't know how my industry is going. You know, I didn't have time to do any of those. And that's when we can say to the client, well, this is why this is important. This is why we went through this action plan. These are the tasks and activities that you need to do to drive the results that you know that you can achieve. And our most successful clients meet us on a regular basis. That's why they're successful. Let's do that for you too. Let us help you implement the action plan. So don't be afraid if clients say, I'm fine, thanks, great for that. I'll do it all myself. You can go back to them. Now, if you're a senior member of the team, and you're saying, well, Aynsley, I do all of this stuff inherently. I don't need clarity. Well, I'd just say to you, as a partner in a firm, when I was running from client to client, grabbing the file as I was running into the meeting, this gives me an ability to have a structured conversation without having to delve through a file. And it also gives me the output that I can give to the client and share with the team and make sure that the actions within the client and with my team are dealt with and are documented. So it does give me an ability to help the processes going forward. Now, more importantly, it gives me the ability to train my team members who are sitting with me, because they can see how I'm using the software, because what I want to happen is for them to take on that role. I want to delegate this business advisory work to them. So I need to show them how I would do it and how I would be having the conversation so that they can then do it. And they learn by experience and by example. So if you're a senior member of the team and they're used to having these conversations, you might want to start with a blank canvas so you can click delete all. However, what I didn't want to happen was for my team member to say, Aynsley, we're going to go from 339 to 372. How are you going to do that? For my client to say, I haven't got a clue. And then for the team member to say, well, I don't know either. And so we end the conversation. So we wanted to give them very simple discussion points that could fire the conversation and get it moving along. So effectively what we're doing here is creating an action plan. And we're saying to the client, you could sell more to existing customers. How would you do that? So effectively, the conversation doesn't stall. Now, it's realistic that the client will have ideas, so we just need to document them. Now, we can use the system to hold the client accountable from a task management perspective, and this shows on our portfolio view. We can download the report, export it, PDF it. And effectively, in addition to very simple basic business discussion points that the team can have, we also signpost where the firm can help as well with one-off projects that are going to support this profit growth and are going to support the client at the relevant moment in time. So if we're looking for revenue growth, we need to measure where we are on that journey. So we need to have a budget in place to know if we're going off course or if we're doing well and how we're doing. Again, in gross profit, we're talking about bookkeeping procedures, how we can help as a firm, help them help themselves. In operating profit, we're talking about management reporting. So how we can help them with management reporting, better data equals better business decisions. Now, we didn't want this to be a checklist. This is to have help and aid the conversation. We have supplementary questions that will help the client as they go along, but this is to fire their imagination and so that they don't get stuck. And so, for example, we're signposting direct debit, Chaser, Go Cardless, Stripe. We're signposting diagnostic tax reviews, signposting funding plans, maybe say Capitalize, cash flow forecasting, Futurely, Fathom, Fluidly, Float, you name it, any of those. So effectively what we're now doing is putting all the other apps in play, and the client understands why those are important. Now, I know I'm probably gone over, and that's typical because I'm Irish, so I'm going to fly through the rest. So effectively, we've also got a very simple business university in here. So this helps the team, help the client. So what discussion points raised from that conversation so that they're able to give them information. And if you think about that previous plan that I thought, that's very simple strategic planning. So where the client is now, where they could get to, what the gap is, and how to close that gap. So this also supplements that and helps them with, why do I need a system? Why do I need a business plan? How do I calculate break even? What are cash days? In addition, we have the Advisor U, which is coming soon. That's the advisory framework with all the templates and tools that are not a vault, but high action impact strategies that we're going to be digitalizing and putting online for you so that the team can use Clarity rather than having to go to PDF and Word documents. And we also have here a signposted data room. Now, for the bulk of clients, the action plan and the services you offer off the back of the action plan are going to be sufficient for probably 80% of your clients. There will be those that want to scale, that want to grow, that want to get access to investment and funding or to exit. Well, then this online data room, which stores all their corporate governance documents in a structured way, will help you help them create a more valuable business by filling in the blanks. Now, at the moment, it's an output. We are developing that user interface in front of it around the advisory framework for the advisor. And on the backside for the small business owner, we're developing a gamification and a way for them to be more fun to complete their data room rather than a dreary task. So it'll be badges and rewards and that sort of stuff to be able to highlight where there are quick wins and how they can make some big success with the business. So that's probably a longer overshot of snapshot of clarity than I wanted to do, but hopefully that gives you some good ideas of what the technology is doing to support the systems and processes that we've put in play. So again, just to hammer home the point, this isn't just about technology for technology's sake. We also have built a clear path for you to be able to implement this quickly within your firm. And so this is a 90-day program to go from A to B, so that it isn't just saying, here's the software and off you go. We've got a member success team that will guide you through this and be able to help you implement clarity and help you actually generate success from clarity. And I just wanted to talk one thing about the scorecards that we've created, which will give you high impact strategies to help your firm as a whole. The URL for that is clarity-hq/success factor. And effectively, this will show where you are now and how you can make high impact strategies to really help your firm thrive, not just about business advisory, but across all these areas in business. So a really, really good scorecard for you to do and a great way for you to understand how you can drive the firm going forward. So this is our process for helping you achieve success. In addition, we've got a hell of a lot of resources to help the team. And so, for example, in COVID, we were helping our members with battle plans and how to help their clients position them to survive, to thrive. We've also got, pricing methodologies. We've got, complete agenda systems for 12-month rolling agendas and what you discuss each month. And so giving your team the ability to drive implementation and giving you an out-of-the-box solution to be able to introduce business advisory if you're not using business advisory at the moment, or if you are, helping you scale business advisory. So to become a Clarity member firm, it's all about the models that we've created for you and the ability for you to monetize and commercialize those. It's about years of knowledge and profound wisdom distilled into software and processes that help you get high impact, actionable growth. It's also about using group momentum, because we get people together in a group to be able to drive ideas, spark imagination, fire growth, and also it's about personal accountability. So the mechanics that we use for our starter firms is helping them achieve the 4 levels of business advisory in approximately 21 days, getting some really quick wins that will pay for this overtime fast, so that you'll get a quick ROI to be able to invest in the firm and invest in the future growth of the firm. And there's a hell of a lot else in there. So don't get involved for the mechanics, get involved for the magic and the models. And effectively, to get involved, we have a cohort that starts every Friday that basically helps each other, help drive implementation with our help and guidance as well to be able to move forward. So to become a bronze unlimited firm, so that's the starter package within Clarity, for unlimited clients on the software is £395 a month. And if you just want to start with 25 clients and see how you go with 25 clients, that's £130 a month. So effectively a huge amount for you to be able to generate a massive return. I only need you to sell to one of those 25 clients effectively to double your money. And, as hopefully you can see, there's a hell of a lot gone into the under the bonnet in Clarity and an ability to really help you thrive moving forward. So if you want to book in a call to find out how you can move forward, so either this is right for you and you're ready to jump in and it's just what you've been looking for because it was a problem that we had in practice, and might be one you're having too. So you might want to just jump in straight away, then get started, and we can help you make money quickly. If you want to call to find out more about it, then please get in touch as well. And if you want to just stay in touch with us and find out how you're getting on, maybe it's not the right time for you at the moment, then we'd be delighted to hear from you too. I think hopefully I probably should have put that Calendly link in there, but if that's a great QR code, we'll certainly follow up with the Calendly link, Simon. But if they want to take a snapshot of that, that will get them straight through into the Calendly link. I will follow up with you with the Calendly link to make sure they get through to the right people at the right time.
Brilliant,
So,
Aynsley. Thank you. And I'll
sorry,
also put that.
man.
That's all right. I've got 2 questions for quick answers. And if you send me that calendar link, I'll make sure it goes in the email that comes out with a copy of the recording. With those prices, Aynsley, that you said there was monthly, is there any minimum term? Obviously, you're going to make an investment in people's training and whatnot. So do they have to commit for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Is there any notice periods? How does that work?
Nope. It's a rolling month. So we want them. We know this works. We know it works quickly. we want them to make as much money as fast as possible.
Brilliant, excellent. And then Adam has asked, and this is a confirmation statement, I believe, because I've read it and I think it works. So the linear progression of this process is that we use Clarity to understand what our clients need and want, and what package we're putting them on. We then get the client on a conference and walk them through Clarity and the impacts of working with us. And then they sign up to the advisory SLA, which we bolt onto their existing compliance work. Is that kind of the process?
Absolutely. 100%. Lots of firms talk to clients about Clarity. They don't show them Clarity. There's no point talking to a client about Clarity. Oh, let's have a meeting where we can do this. The power of Clarity is showing the small business owner direct. And so that can either be free 30-minute call, perhaps, or maybe it's part of a year-end meeting, or maybe it's part of the management accounting process that you have that call with them. But it's about showing them live the software, not actually talking about what you could do with them. Definitely.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you. So that's the questions all answered. We've got the URLs in the chat box. If anybody has missed the URLs on the way through, if you cut and paste them and click them over, and obviously we'll send the Calendly link out as well, in order for you to speak to Aynsley or Amy, is it, or whoever it is,
Amy,
within Clarity.
Sam, or Will, or Steve. There's lots of us there to be able to help.
Excellent. So, is there anything else you'd like to share, Aynsley, before you go?
I think there is the fear. We're using latest technology with the latest programming language to crunch as many numbers as possible in the most efficient and effective way possible. We wouldn't have been able to build this software 18 months ago. So I don't want the relatively low price of the software to think that this isn't going to work for you, because this does work. This is about us driving you up the levels of support. So this is the starter package. Once we show you how to make money, you'll probably want to work more closely with us to drive that growth and to drive that money machine. So it's about getting started. It's high impact strategies. And this is about how you can monetize technology and processes to drive your business forward. And it's about high impact strategies.
Brilliant. Excellent, Aynsley. And thank you very much again to everybody that's come along this morning and listened to Aynsley talk about Clarity. I've obviously got clarity now on what Clarity is. And there's all sorts of ideas that have sprung up for me around how we might use it within our practice. And thank you very much to the thank yous that are coming in on the chat box. So thank you very much to everybody that's watched, and thank you, Aynsley, for coming along and doing such an excellent job in sharing with us. Thank you, Aynsley. Bye bye.
Bye, Simon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, mate.